Hello, I'm Brian Fox. Welcome to I Hate Rock Music, and this video is going to be about a pretty unusual band called Hackamore Brick. And I remember seeing this around a lot in cutouts. I wasn't sure what to think about it. I kind of passed it over quite a number of times, and then I finally picked it up. And it's another one of those records that really wasn't quite what I was looking for at the time, but after a few years, I really got to understand what their vision was, um, and really have come to love the record. And one of the things that's so striking about it is that in an era like 1970 and 71, when everybody was turning up their amps and had crazy guitar players, this band was very low key, very song oriented, no grandstanding, no big flashy playing, not a lot of drama. If anything, they seem to be more influenced by the last two Velvet Underground albums, Velvet Underground and then Loaded. Very reminiscent of that, very short songs. A lot of them sound kind of like something Lou Reed would write. Um, and then very, very, very sparse arrangements. They're very low key, mostly natural tones on the guitars, and then a keyboard player that plays piano and farfisa, and so pretty stark, low key sound. The rhythm section's very able. It's really hard to see what they're made of because, like I say, there's not that much drama on it. But they got signed to Buddha Records in 1970, recorded album One Kiss Leads to Another. The rock critic Richard Robinson produced the record, and so it definitely has a really stripped down feel. It kind of reminds me of the Modern Lovers as well. Um, it makes the Modern Lovers sound absolutely incendiary in comparison. They're so low key. So the band is Chick Newman on vocals and piano, Tommy Moonlight on vocals and guitar, Bob Roman on bass, and Robbie Beagle on drums. And so pretty basic lineup. Chick Newman's vocals are pretty droll, and that's what kind of gives him that Jonathan Richman, Lou Reed kind of vibe, which really works for this kind of material. And I guess they used to do a lot of interesting sort of classic crooner tunes as part of their set, and it kind of shows they have a real appreciation for pretty basic, straightforward songs, nothing overly complicated, very simple. They have a couple of moments that get a little more dramatic. There's a little fuzz guitar on a couple of things, and then they finish up the album with one relatively long song for them, 7 minutes, that has a little more instrumental interplay. But most of the stuff on the record is definitely serving the song, very song oriented, but really good melodies, really nice lyrics. Chick Newman's a very pleasant singer, and you eventually get drawn into what they do, and it's just a good record. And so, like I say, if you're a fan of the Modern Lovers of Velvet Underground, you're gonna love this record. And they continued. They almost recorded a second album, but ended up breaking up, and so second album was never recorded. They did release one last non-LP single, the Lieber Stoller song "Search," and then over the years they have reunited a couple times and released new records and are out there performing. So they're still a thing. And there's some demos out there apparently too, because they got almost got signed to Sire Records in 1968 when they were a band called Ice. And I don't know if their sound was different than what they ended up doing as Hackamore Brick. Certainly the talent level is there, that they could have had a different sound then, but so they were called Ice, got signed to Sire Records, then changed their name to Hackamore Brick, got signed to Buddha, and put out this album in 1971. And Buddha was kind of on a similar tear as RCA. Buddha was trying to change their image as a bubblegum label, and so between Buddha and Kama Sutra, they signed Dust, and they signed Hackamore Brick, and so try and bands like Elephant's Memory and Flaming Groovies, and tried to expand what people expected from the label. And this was an interesting addition to that. And the other thing about the LP that's pretty cool, they recorded at Bell Sound Studios, so Buddha put some money into them, and they spent about 40 hours recording the whole LP. And because all the songs are really short, you get quite a number of songs. I'm not really going to run through them because they're kind of a similar quality to most of them. They're just good, solid, economical, stark pop songs. Um, with just enough rock to make them qualify as a rock band, including the, like I mentioned, the 7 minutes of a song called "And I Wonder," and just like so many of these bands, I really wish they'd gotten around to a second album. When I hear, for example, that song "And I Wonder" and hear what they were capable of as instrumentalists, it really would have been nice to hear a second record where they got to have more embellishments on the record, a little more production, and maybe a lot more instrumental work because they definitely were capable. So a lot of people that watch my channel may not be into this as much. I definitely have focused on more prog and hard rock and weird bands and things like that. And Hackmore Brick is pretty straightforward, but so unusual and such great quality that I definitely recommend it. I definitely love the record now. Probably like it now more than I have most of my life because it took me a while to really get it and appreciate what they added, particularly at that point in time in the 1970, 71. Not a lot of bands out there like this. So Hackamore Brick, one kiss leads to another. Check it out, link below. I'm Brian Fox. Thanks for watching.